Good evening, everyone. Welcome to January 30th, 2019 Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. We do have a quorum, and I call this meeting to order. So, old business, we're going to be talking about MLK ceremony. AC?
Well, I'll talk about it a little bit, but Felicia took the lead on that and set that up, and we had some really great speakers there. You were attending.
Yes,
and,
we did.
It was very entertaining, I thought, and very informative. And Miss Brenda Bryant took us all to church. Boy, she did a fantastic job.
She was
fantastic
pastor.
very good speaker.
Right.
So Felicia can talk about that a little more if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, sure. Definitely want to give a thanks to Brenda Bryant, Calvin Jones, Tom Clark, Mike Sparks, and Matt Church. They all did take time to speak. We were honestly just very excited about the stories that they brought, and for all of you that were able to attend and the ones that didn't, they were honestly a lot of moving things that these people brought to the table that were in our local community. So I was really excited to bring them in and hear them speak. And we had an amazing turnout. We had a packed house. There was not a seat left in this room.
Yeah, one more person, and we had to dig up another chair somewhere.
Yeah, I mean there was no one there. So I was very happy with the turnout on that.
Yeah.
So
I was glad that Bruce and AC okayed for the ladies, Linda, at the senior center to go pick up the seniors, the ones that wanted to come. Even though City Hall was closed, they okayed it. So they were able to go get the seniors and bring them. And yeah, like you said, Tom Clark was amazing. He talked about things that I never knew about that happened to Martin Luther King. So
he was truly an inspirational speaker. And like you said, I enjoy the seniors being here, and I loved having him at any event like that. So definitely thank you for that.
Tom came up to the Parks office when we were talking about him coming and speaking at the event, and Felicia and I got to sit down and talk with him, and getting him one-on-one like that, boy, he'll get going, and he'll just keep going and going, and it's all interesting. It's really nice talking to him.
So you guys know him personally?
We do now, yeah. We talked to him up the office.
Yeah, there was something come up today about a speaker, and I'll talk with you all about that later.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, who is Tom?
Tom Clark is a State Farm business owner. He was, yeah. He is the owner of State Farm, right down
Madison Square.
right down Madison Square, next to Tots Landing and Codes. He's been there since '83 or '6, I believe, is when he opened his business here.
Yeah. Okay. Got a lot of history. Got a lot of good stories too.
Yes, he did.
No, '89.
Yeah.
Is that on economic development anymore?
I don't believe so. He was.
Yeah.
That was one of his accommodations, so that he did serve on one of our boards.
Right.
Oh, dear.
Any more questions or comments about MLK Day?
I have one, and I want to thank everybody that sent condolences and for my husband's passing away. And I tried to put the funeral off until in the afternoon, but someone else had that spot.
Yeah.
So I had no choice but to take that one or have it the next day. But it turned out that we did all right.
I'm sure all of us have given you our condolences for the loss of your husband, Mary. I know it's
It's been
hard.
a long road.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
you've handled it about as good as anybody I've ever seen. So
She's a strong lady.
she sure is.
I believe I saw some pictures of you up there helping shortly after up at the Senior Citizen Center,
Yeah.
The next
helping
day.
out.
Yeah.
Was it the next
Yeah,
day?
Next day.
I just hope I have your energy in a few years.
You can.
Even half
you
of
will
it.
If you put your mind to it.
Oh, I hope so.
Everybody says, well, you're so independent. I said, well, I have
To be?
to take care of myself since
Yeah.
I was 12 years old. So I have had no choice but to be independent.
I understand. You're a very big inspiration to many
Do a
people.
good job with that grandson too.
He's my pride and joy.
Well, since you broke the ice on that, Miss Mary, I was gonna talk about it at the end of the meeting, but since that's okay, since you started, absolutely condolences. I don't know, I'm not very good at this stuff. I can only be who I am, but I actually went down to the funeral home and seen her husband laying there in his full uniform.
Oh, wow.
And he looked extremely young for his age, so you must have took good care of him.
I did. I tried to.
Only a man would say that.
I'm trying to be nice,
You are, we understand, you're Steve.
but Miss Mary knows me, and she knows that
I know.
we love her to death. So,
I appreciate
He's a good-looking man. You had good taste in men.
it. I did, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
yes. All right, I guess we can move on to new business. Baseball, softball, recreation league. Very excited about this. I've been chomping at the bits. I've been, can't talk about it just yet. I've been busting at the seams, wanting to talk about it at Facebook and
Dropping hints.
dropping hints and being teasers. But as far as I know, everything is okay. But I don't want to get too carried away because this government business get me in trouble running this mouth. So, but AC, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Well, I'll talk about it about as much as you can, but Tuesday will be the final vote on it. And we did, after the last meeting when y'all approved the RFP for the strikers, we sat down with them the next day. I actually texted him before we left here that night and said, come meet me tomorrow. We'll have a meeting and we'll get the details of the user agreement worked out. And probably an hour later, we were done.
They've agreed.
Wow.
They
To the
agreed to everything.
contingencies?
They were great.
To the
They're super
Saturday?
excited.
They
Huh?
agreed to the Saturday.
Yep, they're gonna
Yes.
play Saturdays.
Oh, yeah.
We even went down the hill and looked at the facilities. They couldn't be happier. They're super excited.
T-ball also?
T-ball, everything. Good. They're gonna, actually, he had me get him a quote for all new bases and all new pitching rubbers for all 8 fields.
Oh, wow.
And that's not inexpensive.
No.
So, but they really want to make this work. So they're going to work with us, and I want them, after talking with them and seeing the kind of people that they are that we're dealing with, I don't have any doubt that it's going to be a good thing.
Well,
They're
Steve's got a
really
lot of
dedicated.
families. Steve has a lot of families chomping at the bits to get signed up.
Yeah, and they're doing the
Whoever-
same thing as us. They can't say things either, but they want to. So I said this year, you know, that meeting that got pushed back last month is a little bit of a stumbling block, but you're going to get a slower start. But next year, everything is going to be right on time. So.
Well, it's a good thing they can't see these meetings on TV.
Well, they can go back and watch them, but they're happy. They're going to be.
Yeah, Debbie brought that up on Facebook, and I didn't want to call you out, but I was just going to say, Debbie, don't say that. They'll go watch them. Because you said, but no, that's a good idea.
I hate secrets. Just a bad thing about me. They're going to stone me one day.
But one of the things that I'd like to ask is after Tuesday night, hopefully, knock on wood, and everything is okay. There's 10 of us or 9 of us here. I'd like for everybody to just call your friends, neighbors, text them, Facebook them, whatever, and let's make, and I keep saying Kathy's the one that said this because that's where it come from. Let's make Laverne fun again. Let's get our children back. And the things that AC's talking about, they're paying for them. He's only getting the discounts through what he knows. And so I'm super excited about it. I've got a lot of people that's been texting, a few calls, a lot of hits on Facebook. People are waiting on the good word. So if you're watching out there in TV land on this thing tomorrow, just know that we got some good information. I know Deborah's excited.
Yes, I'm definitely excited, so looking forward to it for the kids.
Yes.
Can I say something, Steve? My almost 5-year-old grandson, his dad plays football, but I asked him, I said, do you want to play t-ball this year or baseball? He's all in. He is in.
Absolutely.
And I think that he'll give everyone a run for their money because he's a fast, tough little
He can
kid.
he can still play. T-ball will be over than football, and then go right into basketball. From here on out, there is no life. If you did it the way I did it, there is no life.
Of course, we know that the mayor alderman board still has to vote to
Correct.
make it set in stone. But once that happens, will the Parks and Rec Facebook page, will y'all be posting like a schedule of signups and
Yeah, oh yeah, all that's gonna get
information so that
posted.
we can
Everything
share?
is just a click away. We're just waiting, you know. Everything is pending approval. That's how you have to disclaim everything, pending approval.
Depends on how the government acts.
Miss Debbie, yeah, I actually spoke with them about it, so I don't know how much I can and can't say, but we
Pending
do.
approval.
Right, pending approval. We do have the website ready to go, and it's awesome. I've seen it. The quick links to all of the online registrations. I already have pending approval dates.
Oh, wow.
Or signups, jersey try-ons, the schedule. I mean, so I've worked with them hand in hand to make sure that all that is ready to hit the ground running.
Well, once you release it, we'll plaster Facebook with it.
Awesome.
I'm good at that.
Well, y'all keep an eye on my Facebook page, because once it is approved, that'll be the first place, and then we'll update all the other sites there, so,
That sounds great.
okay.
We got an alarm call.
Sir,
We got an alarm call.
got an alarm call.
City Hall internal.
We're not alarmed.
I'm alarmed.
Can we kill the recording?
Jerry,
Okay, I guess we'll just.
where did it get alerted from? Do you know where it came from?
They just told us internal alarm calls.
The only other person.
Is there possibly another door or an alarm that's set at a specific time?
The other
to go off?
person here is Bruce.
Okay.
Now check his office. Oh,
I'll be looking all through, make sure there's no loose doors.
All right, I know this next one is something that's really grown, and I love the kids when they get all dressed up and go down. Is they call it the daddy-daughter's dance, but there has been some questions on Facebook, and I have overstepped my boundaries and told them that mother, son, absolutely
absolutely.
was
That's not
more,
overstepping your boundaries. That's
well,
Perfect.
within reason. That's what we tell them.
because there was a couple single moms that asked about that. So, but that's really growing, and I seen some of the decorations, and I seen some of the flyers, so we'll let AC tell you about
Be
it.
over at the high school again this year?
It will be at Roy Waldron School.
Oh, at Roy Waldron.
We had it there this past year too, and it was pouring raining last year, and it was still packed.
Yeah.
So this is one of our bigger events, and with what Felicia's doing this year and the decorations, is going to be insane. It's really going to. I mean, and well, the weather's supposed to be really nice too, so I'm expecting an even bigger crowd than last year. So
I remember I went to one and a dad came dressed as Prince Charming and his daughter came dressed as a princess. It is an awesome
It
event.
really is.
But
It's,
I am glad that if y'all are inclusive to moms
oh,
and
absolutely,
other
yeah.
people.
And we call it daddy daughter because it's a traditional thing,
Yeah.
and we don't. I mean, it's kind of a traditional name, but we make sure that everybody knows that everybody's welcome. All parents, mothers and sons, and daddies and daughters, and even grandparents and grandsons and daughters. Everybody's welcome. So, and it's great.
Have you thought about changing it just to a Valentine's dance?
Well, we have thought about it, but everybody, and it's a split kind of, because everybody loves daddy-daughter except for the ones who, have the sons. So it's kind of, it's kind of.
Well, and I think also, except for the girls without dads in their lives, I think I mean, you saw what I had written about it, and
Yeah.
maybe, and that is what, I would speak for those little girls, because I know my granddaughter doesn't have her dad really in her life, and when she gets old enough, she'll know, and I know other little girls who know, and it affects them.
And and it's not out of the realm of possibility that we come up with a secondary dance that's more along those lines and still include everybody for that, because everybody likes getting dressed up and coming to a dance. So
I was going to say, it's the only time on a Friday with no school on the weekends that a little 5 or 6 year old boy don't mind taking a bath and getting all cleaned up.
You could also, on your website where you've got this posted about the daddy-daughter dance, Do you have like a little disclaimer in there saying?
Yes, we do. It's actually, if you guys check out the Facebook event, it does say, specifically on the event, it says, you know, daddy-daughter dance, mothers, sons are welcome, grandparents. We also include special escorts in there, because like you said, Kathy, sometimes it's just not, you know, it's not feasible that, you know, maybe you have a neighbor or something like
I mean,
that. that
to me,
loves
it's
them.
just semantics. It would be simple to include everyone and not have to do a second dance,
Right,
just
and
like calling it
that's-
a Valentine's dance or February ball or something.
That's actually why I put a theme on it this year. That's another reason why we didn't just call it the daddy-daughter dance. Yes, it's been traditionally known as that for the last few years. However, if you guys take a look at all the flyers in the event, it says the butterfly ball, because that's what it is. That's our theme.
Okay, good.
So if you take a look at
I would
that
like
and
to
you
see
read the
that
description
transition.
of the event, it says all that in there. So we made sure to kind of hit all those points before we did it. So it'll be themed each year, where yes, it'll still say daddy-daughter dance at the end, but it'll have a theme at the beginning where that's where we're playing off. So this year's the butterfly ball.
Yeah, and I do totally agree with Kathy. I have expressed that concern since I've been on this advisory board, and I disagree with it being called a daddy-daughter dance because I live with that world myself with my granddaughter. And in fact, she says her daddy's dead when he lives right here in Laverne, Tennessee.
And when you
So it's-
still
it's
have
very-
that label,
It's hurtful to
even if
young
you're
ladies.
transitioning it out, it's very hurtful.
And then then if you do take them, then it arises the questions, why do they have dads and I don't? And it's a very difficult situation for a young person. And I agree with Kathy, let's just have a Valentine's dance and make everybody feel included.
Yeah, well, all of the literature and everything that we do have at the dance, all the signage and things like that, just says the butterfly ball.
I know, but isn't
just there
it
for a
somewhat
dance.
discriminatory though? Because it feels like excluding right from the get-go, and it would be much simpler just to call it a Valentine's dance. Why put a child through that? And I will always be the one to advocate for a child. We should not segregate and do these type of things to children and make them feel bad for not having a father. And I feel very strongly about that. So, and I better just drop it at
You know,
that.
let me also add,
That's not our
it's
intention to
a,
discriminate.
it is a
against any child.
fantastic
I'm a
event.
single mom. I'm a single mom with a son, and
So am I.
And they had these daddy-daughter dances and stuff, and I understood that I could take my son if I wanted to. He never wanted to go. Okay. Also, I have, at the age of 12, I was a daughter that had had a daddy and mom that got divorced, and the daddy divorced the kids too, and they had these type of dances. I never felt bad about it. I guess people are a little bit more sensitive now, maybe, than they used to be, but it never bothered me and still doesn't bother me. But I mean, if there's people that are ultra sensitive and it bothers them, then maybe. I mean, I've got a
You
friend.
may be just
that-
a lot tougher than some little kids, though, Debbie. I mean,
I don't
I've
think
seen
I'm
little kids
tough.
cry over it, and that's what we're talking about. All you'd have to do is change it to a Valentine's ball or winter
And that
ball or
solves the
something
problem,
like that.
period.
It's just words, that's it. But those words can hurt.
But I think the way she's got this calling it the butterfly ball, and she's got the disclaimers in there about who all can come.
But why
I've
should-
got a friend that
not the
has
point.
a daughter.
But
that
you
doesn't
still have
access-
daddy-daughter on it. That's the whole point, daddy-daughter. And these
And
little
that's
girls
hurtful
without
to some
dads.
children. We're talking
it
about
hurts
children,
them.
not the adults.
Right. And again, it's a great event. It really is. It's phenomenal.
Gets
And
bigger every
it's
year.
just semantics. It's just a couple of words, and that's all we're asking y'all to consider. Because you do a great job. It really is a beautiful event.
Thank you for covering the disclaimers in there with who else can be involved in the dance.
Of course.
Has the dance always had a theme like butterfly?
No,
This is the first year.
I did that.
I like that.
Yeah.
That kind of, that kind of opens it up a little broader too.
We got butterflies all over the shop.
He's so excited.
Yeah, a little too girly for me, but it's it's
I don't
butterflies
know
everywhere.
now. My little boy used to like catching those things.
Bugs, oh yeah. Mama,
And-
look how pretty that butterfly is.
Thank God he couldn't catch them because he wanted to put them in some kind of kit he bought where you stick them with a pin.
Oh, no,
Thank
had the
God he
bug
wasn't
kid.
good at catching.
Yeah.
Maybe his mama cut a hole in his net. I don't know. But even boys like butterflies and insects.
Okay, moving on to the next new business, and this is one that I personally, well, everybody, but I say me because I'm new, but There is a lot of events that's going to be happening between right now, tonight, and before this next event that we're gonna talk about gets here. National Night Out, Easter, there's a lot of things that AC's got to work on, him and Felicia.
Yeah.
But I would love if we could start talking about Old Timers Festival and planning.
Well, we're really excited about it, and I will tell you that me and Ann and Felicia actually met with the mayor, was about a month ago, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were up here till probably 10 o'clock at night, discussing different plans for maybe, for the changes that we're gonna make coming down the road. And they have a lot of information for y'all, a lot of ideas. I'm excited about it. It's definitely gonna go in a different direction, and I'll let them speak to this. But it's gonna be a team effort. We're gonna need everybody's help. It's a lot. So, girls, y'all take that away.
Yeah, now, if you got some kind of map we gotta look at, we need you up here so we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I can definitely take
Yeah,
it
get
up
up there.
there.
I'll help you hold it up.
Okay.
Do you have dates picked?
Yes.
October 5th.
One day?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the second Saturday.
I believe it's the first Saturday,
Correct.
because we didn't want to get too much further into October for scare of, winter weather, the rains,
Hey, listen,
but much into September.
I have been fighting it for years to move it up because, man, it is
Hot.
so hot.
Now granted, that weekend for this last 2018 was a scorcher. So who knows what weather we're gonna get on October 5, but at least we're
bad, you
in that
never know.
territory.
Well, it's a flip of the coin. We don't, and
But we eliminate, we give ourselves a higher chance if we push it out a little bit further to have a little bit cooler weather and more enjoyable. You want to come up with the,
Now, will there be if it cannot be held on that day, it would be another day to be held on, or?
no, there won't
That's
be
it.
enough.
Once it's set,
yeah.
they pretty much
Rain or
got things
shine.
booked.
That's the big thing about it, because with all the preparations that go into it, everybody can't schedule a rain day.
Oh, yeah, you
gotta
got
have it if you set it up.
Tents and entertainment and everything.
Yeah.
so a couple things that we had talked about changing. Can you guys hear me with this?
All right, Jerry.
Check.
Jerry got to fix you up.
Okay, so this here is, this is an overlay just of our park. Last year, you guys would have seen that we had the carnival here and a lot of different things, so if you remember what it was last year. This year, we're gonna do it a little bit different. We're gonna have our kid zone in this front lot here, is what we're thinking about doing. We wanna have our parking still here on the side, and then our handicap down at the bottom, and then everyone can fill in on the sides here. We were hoping to bring all our vendors back into this area here, kind of congregated here, and then have smaller entertainment events located at the corners of each lot. This is gonna kind of just bring everybody back into that circle versus the spread out look. So that is our first layout, our first change that we're gonna make. We wanted to kick this off with something a little bit different, and give ourselves a focus each year. So the focus would be, the first thing that we wanted to do in 2019 was a look back in time. That is our theme for the year. This is just gonna kind of pull everything back to how it used to be, or what we, what we seen and what everybody loved and what they wanted to see back. So a look back in time. We also did the next 5 years of themes, just so we could have a direction to go each year and we knew where we wanted to take it. So the next 5 years would be 2020, cruising through the ages. That way we could focus on old automobiles, or, Nissan, how that got, just whatever you can incorporate in each of these themes. Car shows, the old VW when we had that show, or how Sonic does the cruising, all these little things that our community does that everyone enjoys, but we can kind of put it onto a bigger scale. 2021, serving throughout history. That's going to have a focus of our military, armed forces, allowing our veterans to kind of come together and have a focus on that. 2022, Unlocking the Past. That's going to be our woodworkers, our blacksmiths, anybody that had any kind of trade that we could bring in. And, you know, they have a lot of demonstrators through the Sam Davis Home, the Hermitage. We have Two Rivers. We have a lot of really cool historical sites around here that we could reach out to these people and, you know, figure out if they could come to us and have these smaller demonstrations and let our vendors and our patrons enjoy that. 2023 Historical Harvest and 2024 Technologies Timeline.
And I think that the food and the crafters will all go along with the theme as well. So, you know, I mean, you'll still have food and crafts and things like that, but it'll be kind of a neat look at whatever the theme is that year. I think the first one going out will be interesting to see how it's received. I like the way it sounds.
And we would still every year, despite the theme itself, we would still have the, you know, maybe a tractor or some of the older style things to be brought out, but the emphasis will be on whatever that theme is. So we'll have a car show, but we'll still have, like, I don't know, the woodworkers or the bean guy or, you know, all that other stuff in addition to what the theme is. So it just kind of gives us more of a hook, a more marketable hook.
To keep the Old Timers Festival in more of a theme of keeping it old timers, but we also have something to focus on each year. So if you guys know that, you know, in 2 years we're going to do Cruising Through the Ages, we could start working now and reaching out to different people and say, hey, we're going to have this amazing festival in 2 years, and you know, I know it's a Winga's Way, but you know, this is my name, this is my number, this is what we're going to do. And it allows me personally, and especially through sponsorships and networking that we do, we have to be out in the community talking to all these people and asking them to come join us for this and support our community. So it allows us not only a good focus to kind of keep going, but also, hey, would you like to join us for this? Because, you know, you guys are a big part of harvesting or the cars yeah.
So what are we looking for this year for Look Back in Time? What exactly are we trying to?
That
get
is going to be
involved.
more of a collaborative, like just historical. I mean, we thought of just different things. So instead of like a strict focus like cars or harvest or something like that, this is going to be essentially reenactors that can come in. We talked about, what else did we talk about?
It would be some of the other things incorporated as well. So the black
So much on my mind.
things like that to kind of see how it is, like AC said. Mm-hmm. If nobody likes it and hates it, we're not going to do the next 5 years the same way.
Right.
So it's kind of a good start to see if this is how the community wants it. And if the community does not like it at all, we'll go back to the drawing board. All
What
this
about
is just themes.
on the music theme? Is it going to be the same? Are you going to have some oldies and things like that?
Yeah, so the smaller entertainment that we wanted to do this year was try to just place a few different smaller acts. Look back in time, we've had pickers here before. We've had different people come and play our music at the park that's just a little bit older style of music. So that's what we were thinking about doing this year for that.
And there's a lot of good local musicians
There's
around here, too.
amazing.
And we were thinking about even maybe having like a little contest to see if we can get, you know, a certain number of them, submit their videos. You can do everything on YouTube nowadays, and then we'll get together a panel, maybe even the Parks and Rec panel or advisory committee can look at that, and we'll decide, you know, who gets to play and who doesn't.
Yep.
That
So it would
did
give you guys
happen
a-
before, where it was like a contest.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So
We could open it up on Facebook too
Yeah.
and create a poll and say, go to this list on YouTube and pick your favorite one, and we'll pick the top 5 out of the 10 or whatever it is to kind of get the community involved in some of that planning stuff too.
I think that you also probably want to remember the demographics of the city too. You know, we've got a large African-American and a Hispanic community, and I would not forget them.
And I was
when
just fixing to say, there's so much diversity here.
Yes.
It's almost impossible to hit everybody with one thing, so you kind of got to, you know, have a little bit of everything in order
Yes.
to, you know.
Yeah, let's get some Cajun music in there too.
Huh?
Let's get some Cajun
That's
music
what I'm
up
talking
there
about.
too.
That's me and Mary Jane's neck of the woods down there.
Yeah.
And I think some of that will be possible with the smaller stages. We have more opportunity versus like 3 acts total. We can get 10 or whatever number AC
Spread 'em
and
out.
Felicia end up with. It kind of gives us that chance.
Can I ask another question? You're talking about putting the vendors back on the parking lot. When I did Old Timers, the reason we moved them off and into the grassy area with trees, it was so uncomfortable out in that parking lot. It was very hot, even in October. That's why we moved it in the first place, for the visitors to Old Timers Festival and the vendors. And I know that you had already moved it, AC, to be around the playground, which is already a pretty confined area. So I'm just curious why you would want to put it back on that hot parking lot. And part two, are you planning to bring back the carnival?
No,
No.
no carnival.
One of the things that me and AC had talked about, if we can find a carnival that is self-contained, that has the big generators, to where we don't have to furnish electric, and if they're not huge, maybe put them back in the very back there, so that kids are going to walk wherever, you know, at least give the kids, you know, as adults, we're not big on the carnival, but the kids are. If we can find one that's self-contained, that's got their own generator, and we can put them back there, because I'm like you, I don't want that carnival up front again. That's a total debacle.
Well, it's a distraction is what it is. It takes away from anything else that we might be doing. And the carnival, they're a great carnival company, but we need to find a different place and time for them, not try to do it at the same time.
If we wanted to continue to have a carnival, I think it needs to be separated from all.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we want to bring a carnival in, I mean, I think that's great, because then you have more visitors to the park, and, you know, the kids do love it. What kid doesn't love a carnival? But like you guys said, it was a distraction to what we were trying to do.
I just think whatever we come up with, and not because we've got 3 new board members, but I think that personally I'd like to make a really big difference this year, make it fun, make it people wanting.
And that's what we
know.
were trying to do with this, just kind of bring as much as we can in, incorporate the old timers again, and, you know, and see what we can do.
Yeah, I want to get in there's a lot of people in our community, and you all know I'm a big advocate of the senior center, but a lot of other people in the community that are making crafts,
Yeah, that was gonna be.
and they want to sit up. Getting back to Kathy's thing, I don't know how much notice you would need. That's way above my pay grade, but if the weather on Tuesday or Wednesday called for 95-degree heat on that Saturday,
In October?
well, it's Tennessee.
That's pretty close. That's pretty close to what it actually. I had a friend who got married that weekend, so that's why it's so ingrained
Yeah,
in my brain.
it's Tennessee,
Disgusting.
and I'm not being negative, I'm just being realistic, then maybe
October 6th.
that would be
her wedding.
something, if it's feasible, that we can get back into the grass. And if it's gonna be a 75-degree day, and, you know, hey,
Well, what I was thinking about when Kathy brought that up is maybe putting the crafters and the old-timey stuff out in the front grassy field, and putting the food vendors in the parking lot, lining around the parking lot area. Because, I mean, you could definitely conceivably do that. I think we did that back when, the first year I was here, all the food vendors were around the edges, and then there was a lot of stuff going on in the grassy areas.
yeah, I would,
Just don't
I would walk on hot black top to get something to eat.
Right.
Or hot coals, it don't matter.
Well, they're gonna make you wear your shoes that day.
Just don't put the crafters or the vendors way up on the hill.
No, we're talking about getting away from that altogether.
Well, y'all haven't done that in a few years, but again, when I ran that, we also set up shuttle service and had shuttle drivers and had very clearly marked shuttle stops for people, and we picked people up if we saw them struggling, or even if they looked envious, like a kid, can I have a ride? Yeah. We did address that back then, so I'll defend that. That was also when Tom Broker was Parks and Rec chairman. And he wanted at the time, the reason we did that, he wanted to use that whole park because it's a beautiful park.
It's a beautiful.
But that was a concern, was that hill. That's why we did have the shuttle service, and we had signs on the shuttle saying this is a shuttle service. We had signs periodically, shuttle pickup points to address just that. But I do like the idea of putting it back on the grass because it was miserable walking around that parking lot.
We can use just the whole front area of the park, even Pavilion A. I still like Pavilion A for the senior citizens. It's their own thing. They're out of the weather and the heat beating down on them, and they got plenty of room to spread out, and that's where they've always been. And, you know, put food in the middle there, and then people can go back and forth, and, you know, I think it'll work out.
Now, our park and Recs director, A.C. Davis, told me that he could get us a big name band at a minimum fee.
Rolling Stone.
No,
Seeger.
we had just talked about maybe getting an older country act like he knows Earl Thomas Conley lives in Smyrna. Not saying that that's going to happen, just saying that. And I've got some connections with the Little River Band and some things. And if I like the idea of the small bands, but it would really be great if we had about an hour or maybe an hour and a half finale Saturday night after the sun goes down. You know,
We could have one big act and just throughout the day do the smaller ones and then just have one show at the end.
I would vote for the Little River Band too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen their hits, they're huge.
well, you know, I better
One of their
not
road managers.
say his name here, but
Lives
he
here.
lives right down the street from me.
Right.
I don't know, I like Bob Seeger.
I do too. But I think if we can start, today is January 30th, and like I said earlier, AC and Felicia's got a lot on their plate because they got to put together a lot of stuff between now and then. So as a board, I think that we should just start making notes, writing them down, what our ideas are. And there's going to come a time to where maybe we can turn it over to you guys. And, I mean, if I give you 10 ideas, it's not going to hurt my feelings if you pick one or none, okay?
Ponies, what
But
about ponies?
But just know that when it comes time, we want it good.
No pressure.
That's no pressure now.
We also did, to try to keep it fun, we did a hot air balloon one year. We were able to sell tickets for $7. It was a tethered ride. I went up in it. That was like some of the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Forget the Ferris wheel. If you have, you have to have something that's really going to draw, again, all ages, everything like that. If I was a 12-year-old girl and I saw that they were having a blacksmith, I'd stay home so hard. You know, so try to find something that'll attract everyone. The other thing I'd like to ask about, you talked about this year's visiting the old timeline or whatever, and you mentioned the bean guy. That's Donnie Fergus, and I would seriously suggest considering him as the Grand Marshal. He has come in year after year after year through good times and bad and made that big pot of beans. All the staff, he'll make those biscuits.
Tenderloin biscuits.
Oh my gosh. He has been such a strong supporter of Laverne as long as I've been here, and I know way longer than that. He is someone I would suggest you really consider. Good guy, good guy.
I pulled him away from them beans long enough to be
I'll bet you could. I'll bet you could.
Long enough for that.
I'll bet you sure could. But yeah, Donnie Fergus, he had done it at cost for years, and I guess the second year I did it, he finally came to me and he said it's so expensive, and all he wanted from the city was, I think it was just a couple of $100 for the cost of the beans and everything like that and the setup. You know, that's a really generous person.
I
Yeah.
told him about, I think it's called Trinidad now, the packing place up there.
That's my buddy, yeah.
Okay. I told him, I said, go talk to them. I said, they'll be glad to give you a bag of beans, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So, now,
But I would like to see you all also come to this Parks and Rec Advisory Committee with suggestions on who the grand marshals are of all the different parades. I think that everyone sitting here has close ties into the community, and we know a whole lot of people that really are very deserving. I remember the one time the couple that had done the fundraiser, I think it was for MS, and we honored her for caring for her husband, and the husband for all the fundraising they did to give back to MS. And it's that kind of people I would like to see. I know that the Blairs have been honored. I know, Mary Jane, you've been honored.
You've done it.
I did.
I was
Yeah,
gonna suggest
right.
you.
Yes, she sure has.
I know you've
But
done.
you've got the two different, you've got Christmas.
Right.
To me, the warmer weather one, you might consider the different types of weather with who you invite for that, because I think some people may get way too cold if it is in the winter, and maybe someone who can layer up and have a lot of energy would
Somebody
be good for
like
the winter.
Tony Vanetta, he's got energy and he's always doing something. Or
It'd have to be in the summer. He freeze to death below 70.
we'll get him a hat.
Could I suggest something on the parade? We're going way back when we started, okay? We had, and I'm trying to think what the name of it was the trolley that we had in the parade, and it was the senior people got to ride in the trolley.
When did this first start, Miss Skinner?
When?
Do you remember?
I don't remember the date, the year.
Was it 72?
So, yeah, somewhere along there.
I'm thinking it was. That's as far back as we traced it when I'd done it.
It was.
Because we have pictures. I think there may be pictures online of it somewhere.
It was our first one.
And it was back here at Bicentennial Park when they first did them.
Bicentennial.
The park behind us.
Oh, behind it.
Yes.
Yes. No, our very first one that we had, the very, and that's why I hesitated about saying 72. We had it across the street at the 41 Shopping Center. They had a ball field back there. There was no car wash and all that stuff. And that's where we had the very first one. Then the next year we
They moved it. Okay.
Is that where the park store is?
Yeah.
Over there by Little Caesars.
Yeah, Little Caesars and
Yeah,
all
we
that
used to have
stuff.
it. Okay.
I've never heard of the 41 shopping center.
I didn't either.
A long
Miss
time.
Skinner been around a while. So anyway, I think we all are extremely excited about Old Timers Day and making it fun again and getting a lot of things back, because I'll be the bad guy here and say that the last couple of years has been, for one reason or another. So I think we got some good people. Felicia, I know, is excited. I've said that. I know Kathy's got some good ideas. I think that we all need to just think about maybe 10 or 15 things each, things that, and then we can, as time goes by, maybe the 3 or 4 meetings, we can turn them in. You ladies can look at them, confer with AC, and then maybe confer with us again, and then, because we got to come to some kind of common ground, because we all have ideas, we all have disagreements, but it's like a guy told me, we're all going to the same place. It just depends on we're all going in different directions, but eventually we're going to get there.
Logistics you can deal with all along the way, but I would also suggest marketing right now, starting immediately, if you haven't already, and you probably have. And I'm talking about reaching out to all the vendors, look at all of the databases from every year, at least since I've done it. And I think I had 1 or 2 years before that. Invite everyone again. Invite everyone. It's like if you invite 100 people to a wedding, you might have 10 show up. We also I would go to other neighboring festivals and pick up vendor business cards, invite them. But that's how we built it. You just invite everyone you can think of, food vendors. We limited to 2 vendors per dish. If we had someone that served Italian ice, we didn't want any more than 1 or 2 of those. We didn't want 4 or 5 of them. Also, I thought about this earlier this week, and I've got also a video to show you later. There is a guy who operates a little miniature train in Wartrace, and I thought that would be fun to put in the parade. And don't hit me with lightning, anyone who voted for either side. I'm not taking sides here, but I thought that would be a really cute thing to have the elected officials in a little train.
Yeah, I can fit right in there, being I'm the smallest one. Hey, I'm up for anything that is entertainment for adults or children. I'm up for anything that is safe. I'm up for anything that is going to make old timers fun again. I know, like I said, everybody's got a lot of ideas, man, and I'm looking forward to it. But between now and then, as Kathy said, you guys, you particularly, UNAC has got a lot of on your plate other than old timers, and we understand that. But let's accept the fact that old timers is the granddaddy, and then that's the one that, you know, and like Kathy said, getting vendors, getting marketing.
Well, some of that we're starting now. So I'm reworking all of our applications with, of course, the correct dates and the correct theme and all that kind of stuff, so that she can start reaching out to vendors and I can start reaching out to sponsors.
And your companies, all your big companies.
All the
also.
sponsors.
Yeah,
I mean,
some of
even if you do a postcard, save the date. Just do something,
Right,
because they are
so-
booking right now.
So
They're
I don't know if
booking
you
now.
all know this, but normally I do all our posters. So all the posters that you see, all the graphic design work, that's usually me. The idea that we have for this particular poster for this year, I don't trust myself to do it the right way. So we're gonna have to hire someone to do that this year. And
I
that's
didn't know
totally
you
fine. I
did
want it to
that.
look good.
I love your work. That's
Yeah,
great.
Thank you. Yeah,
I didn't know
really
who
had
was
fun with
doing
it.
that.
Now, I'm
Good
full of
job.
Suggestions. If we're going to have horses in the parade, let's have them last.
They're supposed
Yeah,
to be.
Chip and I,
Usually last.
yes, Chip and I
Followed-
have already talked about the
Followed by the
parade
street
lineup.
sweeper.
They didn't make it in our parade because I know people, never mind.
Yeah, so we've already talked about that. Chip was normally the one in years past to do the parade lineup, but him and I are going to work together this year that way I
good.
have my hand in it. So definitely.
And also, I mean, I know that all in years past, we have had tractor, trailer, you know, have them last. I'm thinking about what had happened. Like one year, our scouts stepped in, you know, and our band.
I thought you was talking about fumes
Fumes, well, yes, fumes.
After you step in it, wake it up.
from the
We
truck.
also asked the horses to wear their little horse diapers.
Right.
We had asked that, and then when we had the big contingent of horses come, they had told us, and we had them sign that they would agree to that. They had someone following behind shoveling.
Yeah, clean up, right.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds to me again that everything's going to be not brand new, but I think you're excited. You got a new board to work with. You got somebody that's going to fight for you.
Yeah.
I think old timers again, but we could sit here and talk about this for weeks. So let's don't try to put it all in one night. Let's write things down.
If it's something I would like to ask you guys, if it's something that you're like truly passionate about, or you have a great contact that you know would absolutely benefit us, you know, lead us in the right direction, you know, name, address. Don't make it a cold call for me, you know, make it a warm call. Give them a call and say, hey, I'm going to have, you know, Felicia call you after we've talked about it, you know, so just make sure that introduction is done. It makes it so much easier for me. But it allows me to, you know, to come across and know that, you know, this person knows Deborah, and, you know, Deborah's already sung our praises about how amazing this is going to be, and then I'm introduced, and, you know, I can get it a lot easier. We're working already on doing, you know, making a list of people that we want to contact and things like that. The sponsorships now for these big corporations take 6 months sometimes, at minimum. So where we want to get our, where we can get our, you know, bang for our buck at these bigger corporations and things like that, you know, we already have to start doing that. So if you guys know anybody at those places, that would be amazing.
Is it better to contact you or
First.
AC and through email or
Or text.
calling? text?
It doesn't matter. Call, email, text.
Try something.
Okay.
We all have our phones on us 24/7.
Sometimes I'm sorry I do it, but I answer just about every call I get. I do,
He sure does.
and I call people back, and you make that noise because you call me late at night.
Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
so absolutely. Anyway, I would say probably text or calling would be the easiest for me. And I think Ann might be the same way. But if it's just something that's not maybe a super pressing issue, an email's great too.
Have we ever had a food vendor that does the giant turkey legs like they do down at the Renaissance
We
Festival?
did have that one
It
time.
has, sure
How
did.
did that go?
We did.
Sure did.
Who was that? But somebody that worked for the city. Chad did it, didn't he?
Chad Williams.
Yeah.
Wish we could do something like
Well, he,
that this year.
If you
Chip
could find
does that
someone that
now.
knows, you know.
Chip does it.
Yes, now Chip did
Chip
barbecue
does
for
it.
me last year, and I think he's going to do it this year for me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you can see, everybody's excited.
Yes.
We're going to put a lot of pressure on you, and that's back.
Bring it on.
Back during the election, you told me you was ready, you wanted it, you accepted the
did.
challenge.
I did.
So as you can see, we've got,
Yeah.
some of these people have been doing this for a long time, and they're ready to make it fun again. So we're gonna
And I think
come at
mixing
you.
some of y'all's knowledge, with the new ideas, I think that's going to make this what it was, and even more than what it has been.
All
Have
right.
y'all
And-
ever
and
had a
can I just-
dunking booth? I'm sorry. Have you ever had a dunking booth for politicians? Put all the people that are in office up there in a,
So on the
dunking
train,
booth,
and
and you
then
buy
so
a
the
ticket?
train, and then the dunking booth.
yeah, you buy a ticket to dunk your favorite politician in.
If it will raise money for children or
He
seniors,
sure will.
You'll get up there.
I
He
ain't
sure
got
will.
no
He
problem
would.
with it.
I know he would.
We started meeting with all department directors early because we wanted everyone to have hands in and be involved and to be informed. I wouldn't open it to everyone because everyone has an opinion and they're not afraid to express it. But I would also say, open it up to some community involvement also when you do have your committee meetings or when you meet about it. Maybe not in this forum necessarily, but I would consider appointing like an old timers committee also.
And actually, Ann, I was going to ask you, I know that last year, because I did answer that survey that you put out in regards to the festival, can you tell us what type of response you received from the community?
I don't have all those numbers off the top of my head a few months now, but I can definitely pull that for you.
what was it?
So we did an online survey. We did an online survey to ask people, did you go to Old Timers? Did you enjoy it? Did you buy anything? Did you eat anything? Just to kind of get an idea of what people liked and what they didn't like. And I kind of did a presentation for, you were there, was it Mayor Cole at the time? Or Mayor Waldron?
No, it's Mayor Cole.
Was it Mayor Cole? Jason, of course, was there, and then Bruce, department heads that are usually heavily involved in it, things like that. They're the people that I presented it to, but I'm happy to get those numbers and send an email to AC with the,
Yeah, I'll
and then you
forward
can
it all-
send
all
it
y'all.
out.
Yeah.
Happy to,
Okay.
yeah.
And also, I did look at my calendar, one of my concerns possibly is that date, that is fall break for Rutherford County Schools. Okay.
It is the week before,
And they won't
so not
be
the
here.
week after. So we're hoping that that allows enough time that people haven't left yet. That was Mayor Cole's biggest concern with that day. There is a football game of some kind on, but we have plans for that anyways. But that was the real
One thing
concern.
that I have learned in 66 days of being an alderman,
Conflict?
there is no way to pinpoint a date that's going to, it ain't gonna happen. I give up on it. I'm gonna leave it up to the powers that be to make the schedule, and then unfortunately, just like tonight, I was able to pull this off, but I won't be able to do it again, because it's just a lot of heartache, and I understand the dates. I thought about it a while ago, but it is what it is. We gotta come up with a date, we
And
gotta stick
that
through
was our
it.
main argument for the day. Jason did ask about other days before and after. And I made a full list for him about why we couldn't do it on the 2 or 3
It's like
weekends
whether or not
before
we
and
should have had school this morning.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, thank you
And I do
very
have-
much.
have-
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one other thing. There is funding available through grants for festivals. I have brought this up for years. Now, we have to go more in the direction of culture, music, those things added to be able to get those grants. And I'm happy to share those with you, but there is funding available for festivals
Have you
out
been
there.
able to talk to Montique about it?
I've already
She's our
talked to her
grant
about that. She's aware of
What'd she
some
say?
of them. So,
That's awesome. She can start
You
with
got my attention. I like that word,
The
grants
Tennessee
and-
Arts Commission
Grants.
it's one right there.
and War Trace, I've gotten a couple of thousand each
Yep.
year for the last 2 years from the Tennessee Arts Commission just for music. And it takes a little bit of work. It's not like the local Parks and Recreation Fund grant, but it's a little bit of work, but it's not.
And Montique is great at that kind of
It's
stuff too.
totally
She's aware, she's on
doable.
it, and
Totally
we'll meet with
doable.
her
Well,
at
I don't
some
think
point.
we've talked about it recently. We have in the
Okay.
past, Montique and I, but, I keep saying there's money out there. Let's get some of it in Laverne. Oh, and
If I can
utilize
get
that.
it in War Trace, population 650, we can get it in Laverne.
I've been to the water, it's great.
I'm listening. I like grants and fun. I like that.
Too.
Yes.
I'll mention that to her tomorrow.
Okay.
I usually go in and just say hi to her every morning, so I'll mention it to her just to make sure it's on her, on the front of her mind, and hopefully she can start looking into and pulling a few that we can kind of go over and make sure it's the right fit and all that.
Instead of mentioning it to her, which is great, can you send her an email about it and tag me in it?
I can.
If I've got an email, it kind of helps me, because I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
You have a smartphone, though.
But my son told me at least I was in the drawer. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Great job. And this next one, possibility of introduction of a cultural festival. AC.
And that's something also that we is just on the tip of talking about, and it kind of goes along with the old timers kind of thing, but it's not. How
It
would
actually
you
came out
describe
of the
it?
survey we did.
Yeah.
So, what happened was because of the results of the survey, we actually asked a lot of the people here in the city, our residents and our workers, what they would like to see. And a lot of people had mentioned a cultural festival. Like you said, it's hard to please everyone. We try to pull the ideas together. But we thought, why not have something separate and smaller to honor the different cultures that we had here? You guys know we have at least 5 different types of small business owners here that own their own restaurants that are of different cultures. Just here within 5 minutes, So there's a potential to try to pull together a small cultural festival. We would like it located next to the senior center. There's a lot there that has a really beautiful walking trail that circles the area. The parking lot's suitable for people to be able to pull in and see all these different colors. And, we're hoping to bring in maybe foods. It's something in the small works, but I added it to the agenda tonight because I wanted to not only make you guys aware that we were trying to do something and add a little extra. You were saying, that it's hard. We have so many different types of people here that we want to be able to, to do something for them. So
We are very diverse, and I think it's a great idea.
So I don't know how big we can get it this year. The anticipated date would be towards the very end of March. So that is what
Wow,
we're
pretty
thinking.
quick.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be big to start
No.
with, but if we could, I
we
know
can get 'em to
there
come
are
out
at
and
least
do
6 or
foods.
7 different cultures here that serve food,
Mm-hmm.
with Haitian and Thai and Hispanic and
Egyptian and
yeah, you just bring them out for
Laos.
a day, and everybody likes to eat, so
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that.
Is that free food?
Oh, you have to talk to them about that.
no, but just something along those lines, and maybe they could bring
Sorry, I-
local crafts or almost introduce it to the fact that on the farmers market it has to be all homegrown. Well, maybe they could bring stuff that is strictly from their home, or if they immigrated, just anything to kind of pull it together and honor it a little bit. So we've been working on.
Something many years ago out at Centennial Park in Nashville
Mm-hmm.
that had the different vendors set up, because I tried some stuff that I'd never tried before, and back in the late 70s,
About 70s.
and I tried Indian food. I had never, ever tried it before and fell in love with it. And I think that's a good opportunity to bring
you.
different vendors in, or restaurant owners or people from different cultures?
You know, you
that
start
can
with the
share
food
their
because
dish?
that brings everyone together. But you can make it so much better. I mean,
It'll
you
get my
you can do
attention.
music, and you know they
They
can
had
bring all
music
kinds of different
there.
things in. But we can, you know, we do have to start somewhere. So
I
we
think
hope to
that's
pull it in.
I think just from the initial thing, I think that is really
Thank you.
a cool idea.
And we could start it
excited.
small and then incorporate different, you know, the different vendors that come out from different cultures, maybe incorporate that cultural music as well into it, you know, and, you know, make it a
Crafts
bigger
and-
deal, so.
Would you ever implement it into farmer's market or anything, or
Well, I mean that's too
maybe
much
not
in the future
every
to-
Tuesday, just, yeah, that sounds great,
But
I
if
like
I mean,
that.
if it was something that the community loved and there was a lot of interest in it and, you know, they were successful and we, you know, asked these people, would you care to come back each week or every other week or once a month or, you know, I love the idea of possibly doing that. So if it's something that's successful and we have a great feedback and that's what our, you know, our residents want to see, then absolutely.
Who runs the farmer's market now? What department? You do?
And
And department, the Department of Ann.
I think that's
I
a
was
great
just
idea.
curious, because I knew the library and Parks and Rec had done it previously.
yeah, it's kind of been a joint thing for a while, but it's kind of going in Ann's direction now, and that's something else we'll talk about. That's a different meeting.
Yeah, different meeting.
Yeah, because I wonder what the benefits are of that,
Yeah.
but I'm also curious, and I'm going back because I got an email from Ann today, and I'm sorry, I'm switching gears on you, because I think we all love the idea of the cultural festival, about the butterfly ball and asking the kings and princes, queens and princesses and the little princes to come. I don't think my grandson will be able to make it because it's his daddy weekend. But going back to the pageant and seeing some of the categories was there one category that had one child in it? And I know that the Miss only had 2 girls in it. Have you all started thinking about yet how to build participation?
Way ahead of you.
Yeah.
We had our first committee meeting yesterday.
Correct.
Actually, for the year, we debriefed last year. Deborah was on the phone with us for that. And we did discuss some things already for the 2019 year. That is something that we will be moving over to the Parks Department, so it will no longer be a PR thing. I will still be the assistant to Felicia. We'll have heavily involved. But we've already got stuff in mind and already hoping to start advertising now. Because with the date that we've picked, we have less time once school gets back in session because we're moving it up.
When, do you know the date?
September 7 and 8. We're actually splitting it into 2 different days this year so that we can focus more time on our main categories versus the the babies.
Yeah.
So we're going to spend most of the day Saturday doing little, young, junior, and miss.
Correct.
And then on Sunday, it will be our babies. It'll be a 2 to 3 hour thing on Sunday, and that just kind of separates it. We don't have a million children running around and trying to catch everybody and make sure we're all in the same spot. And that was just something that, you know, Felicia and I, as we debriefed ourselves, that was something we both really got excited about, and the school approved it, so.
Yeah, we do have our dates already set. We have our illustration in the works. That's almost done, and we already have a plan of action to, we already have tasked
Market.
tasked each committee member to marketing, to sponsorship, and to a plan of action for getting people signed up. So that's already done.
Somebody had brought up the idea of a scholarship.
Yes, that's already in the works as well.
Okay.
We are working on that. I think Montique said she's officially allowed to apply for it in February.
Correct.
So we're
We
waiting
can't
on
apply to
that.
it till
But
tomorrow.
if we get a
or 2
scholarship,
days.
we're considering caps on each group, because if we can start giving out real money,
Yep.
we have a feeling we're going to get more participation.
Let me tell you, if you do a scholarship, and this is from the experience of my daughter having been in pageants, and I was a pageant mom, do not give them the money until the end of their reign. Because if you give it to them at the beginning of the reign, they're never going to show up for anything else the rest of the year. So make sure you make that clear to the girls. You get your scholarship funds at the end of your reign.
Meet your
When you have you fulfilled your obligations to the pageant.
I'm
and to the
definitely
city.
excited about, we did, as far as like people showing up for different things, we have, I think this last year's winners have been amazing so far.
Well, and that's because we've been notified this year, so we
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
appreciate
she's done a great
that.
job, and
We appreciate that a whole lot.
yeah, about our events coming up and, you know, the expected participation to represent Laverne the way it should be. So I'm really excited
And
about
that's
that.
why I also created that separate Facebook page just
has
for
been
the winners.
great.
Because that's an easy way for me. I'm always on
Yes.
Facebook watching our pages and stuff. It's really simple for me to shoot off a message, and then it jogs my memory to also send an email to
Well,
those who aren't
kudos to you for those notices. I really appreciate
Yeah.
them.
If a scholarship is involved at some point, will they limit it to only Laverne residents?
It's already limited,
So here's,
sort of.
here's what
Sort
we
of?
have. In the rules, you have to have a vested interest in the city. Resident, student, which means you could be a Smyrna resident but a Laverne student.
Yes.
Or business owner, or you have to like prove to us if you're not one of those things that you have a vested interest in our city.
So a board member can
Yes,
have one
ma'am. Mm-hmm.
of their relatives or nieces join the thing? I wish I'd have known that. My little niece would have blown it away.
Well, we got one
You
coming
should
up in
enter
2 months.
next year.
Well, we expect your registration then for this year.
And that was just, I mean, it opens our pool of applicants even more, and hopefully that pool can continue to grow further into the county or to whatever it is if we want to continue to grow the pageant beyond that. But that just kind of gave us an opportunity to not just limit it to 5 or 6 schools.
Yeah, she wanted to do it this last time, but I told her, I said, no. I said, you have to live here, or you have to go to school here.
Either
And
live or
she's
school or vested
homeschooled,
interest.
and she mostly lives in Antioch and just visits here quite often.
And
And
we
that gives
tried,
it-
we tried to make it a natural pageant before also because of Honey Boo Boo and those shows, Toddlers and Tiaras. We really did not want to get into that showboaty kind of stuff because we didn't feel like that was, we didn't want to get invaded with that
And we
kind
still
of-
have that, that's actually on our judges thing.
But I'm going
It's
to tell
an
you, there's a
introduction.
lot of kids that show up in makeup still that are not in the higher
And in my note to
categories.
the judges, I said, if you feel that they're wearing too much makeup, you should be sure and deduct them some points, because it's a natural pageant.
So if you do have the rehearsal the night before, I'd reemphasize
Mm-hmm.
that also.
We do. We have the rehearsal
Friday
set for the
night.
6th, and it's a mandatory requirement for anybody registered.
And we're adding a talent show maybe this year.
There's a potential.
Oh,
It's on the
potential.
committee
Added
for,
It's something
only
that's
for
not
the,
remote.
yeah, for the
My
other ones,
daughter
so
had to do the
excited.
talent show in her pageants, and that drove kids away so fast and so far. So my thoughts on this, take them with a grain of salt. You add that, you're going to have a harder time getting kids, and you're already
We're only
struggling.
thinking either junior and miss or maybe young, because those are the kind of the girls where you've started to realize what you like, what you're good at, and they can play an instrument, and that counts.
What
So
were their attendance? And I know little, you
that
have
was
a
a
lot.
smaller attendance. We had,
Little Miss had 8 in
that was
that
the
category.
littles. That was K through
K through third?
2.
Or
K through
second?
2.
Yeah, kindergarten, first, second.
That was huge. We had one young, 2 juniors, and 2 misses.
I think a talent contest added to it helps
Mm-hmm.
round it out, because you're going to get scores on not just, are they judging now on looks now,
Yes.
or something?
Looks,
Oh,
Okay.
no,
personality, answering questions.
Personality and
Okay,
presentation.
so it's not just on the physical sense or personality, you've got an added component to
Self-confidence.
judge from.
I think that
Like
would be a
If you've got
big
somebody who's
mistake.
just
I
not
really do.
very good at the other two, and you've got somebody who's extremely talented, it kind of rounds
If
it
you're
out.
talented, though, you're going to have confidence already to present yourself on the stage. I think that it might shut the kids out who are just trying. I know I'm not that snowflake mom that thinks everyone should get a trophy. I'm not like that at all. I know that I have experience, though, in it, and the talent part was the worst. I think really hard about that.
Sounds to me like you all got a lot of work to do between now and then. I like it,
I
though.
would
I like
love
a
to be
good,
invited for some
like
of those
it.
meetings if it's ever on like a Wednesday when I'm off.
We're all over the place with our meetings, honestly.
Okay.
We had one on Tuesday, and even Deborah was like, I still can't do Tuesday. So we're
Yeah.
trying to figure out the right day, because most of our committee members, of course, are city employees. So we're trying to make sure that we stay within our city hours, and we just meet for the hour or whatever it is. And so we're all over the place. But
I've never met a kid without some kind of talent or something they thought they were good at,
it's a matter of finding your talent.
or
And that
even a
could be-
hobby
Yeah.
can be a talent.
Miss Congeniality played the water glasses. So
Oh,
Such a
that's
good movie.
cool.
the TV show with Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. I just watched that the other day.
all right. So the next meeting is going to be February the 18th at 6 p.m. That's on a Monday. Now, I guess AC or Felicia has put tentatively down here.
We don't have official calendars yet,
So-
but that's when it should be.
Okay, so
In pattern, that's where we should
And
meet.
what day is
Yeah.
that on?
In pattern.
a Monday.
Are we gonna have our calendar?
Eric Boyd couldn't be here tonight. He was all in, but one of his children got sick, so he couldn't be here. Last month, I was told by a couple of you that you couldn't be here on this past Monday. I felt like this was a pretty important meeting so we can get particularly Old Timers Day started. Now that we've all kind of dabbled in it, except for Eric, but he's pretty excited about watching this meeting on YouTube, so he'll catch up. I think we need to try to stick to the meeting times. That way there won't be, so I think you had to make arrangements to be here. So I'll take the blame for this one, but I did it trying to accommodate. But as I said to the ladies earlier, accommodation in government that I'm learning is like pulling teeth.
Yeah, plus it's summer and warm weather gets here and my business picks up. I've got to
But
have a date
I'll-
that I can black out this
Yeah.
day. I can't schedule anything.
All right, Ms. Skinner, we will start with you. Do you have any questions or comments?
No, I think we've, excuse me, I think we've just about covered all bases and come up with some real good ideas.
All right, Ms. Deborah?
Just one thing, I would like to see the continuance of community input for the events. How do we know what our community wants if we're not surveying them? And when you did do that survey, I thought that was a great idea because look at, you're utilizing that as a tool right now. So I think that would be, I think we need to do more of that in the community. And I also think that we need to be evaluating programs with exit surveys, those type of tools, and start evaluating those type of things to see how they're working in our communities.
Deborah?
Of course. Talking about community input, there's some ladies that are wanting to do a community-type garden and would like to involve Parks and Rec. They're wanting to possibly look at different avenues, like maybe near the old trailer that was used by the police department at one point, or not used by them, in the middle of Lake Forest, or either maybe something up near where they have farmers market, or near City Hall, somewhere where the different community can come and they can take their children and they can garden, and the experienced gardeners can share their experience and knowledge of how to plant and grow different vegetables or things like that. I wish we could work out something. I know it's coming up pretty fast to get something like that ready, but they're willing to do the work themselves, is what they're saying, and to teach others to do it. They've even got different vegetables already in mind and people wanting to grow different things. I don't know how it would work, or I know that Miss Skinner had said that they had something they tried at the senior citizen center before, and it didn't work out because it got vandalized. So we would want to try to figure it out so that all the efforts of the community are not destroyed. But if that's something we could think of and maybe put to work before spring and planting season gets here, that would be awesome. I said that I would mention it, and I think it's a good idea. And I mean, what they do with the vegetables and fruits, I mean, maybe we could work something out, like a percentage goes to the senior citizen center, or people that need it, or the here in the community, or whatever. What do y'all think about that?
I think it's a great idea. In the right place. And yeah, finding the right
That's
location
exactly
would be
right.
perfect. I mean, yeah, that would be the challenge, but I think that's a fantastic idea.
Because
think
I
they
had
could
always,
set up a booth at the farmer's market with it.
I had also, years ago, wanted the idea that I see in different cities where they plant community fruit trees and stuff that people you plant them. I mean, there's not a lot of maintenance required after you get them planted. People can just, help themselves or something. We could even have something like that up here at City Hall.
I think Deborah Edwards used to suggest that
Yeah, she did it
wanted
all the
that.
time. And there's also grants for that
They have
available.
grants for it?
Yeah, for fruit trees, for seeds. I actually participated, the previous community garden was through the Parks and Recreation Department, it was before I was on the advisory board, but I did partake, and I can't remember what her name was, who was the female that was Parks and Recreation Director?
Robin Grubbs?
Robin Grubbs, yes. So it was under her direction, and we had a community meeting. What I think the biggest failure of that is we had a community meeting to see if there was interest, which I thought that was a great idea. Where we had the biggest interest was Lake Forest Estates. And when it came down to where we were going to put the garden, and this is before we had the park back in Lake Forest, for whatever reason, it was chose not to go out there. So the largest number of vested members in the community were a little irritated with that right from the get-go, so I don't think they participated in it. And I think it's important that we do have, if you did think about doing that, that you have vested people in the community that want to upkeep
Yeah, Ms. Everett
that.
was just talking about how she had women that wanted to do that, so
That are in that area.
they already are there,
And
so
they're-
that's
They
good.
were just talking about it just a day or two ago.
Yeah.
And I said that I would mention it. One of them actually, I don't know if I should say their name, has a boyfriend that's on Parks and Rec, and she was gonna tell her boyfriend to talk to AC. Did somebody talk to you about it?
I haven't heard anything yet.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Starts with an A?
Yep,
Okay.
I know her.
Okay, yeah, she's one of them. There's several of them on there, and I think it's an excellent idea. But I would like to throw in some trees, some fruit trees.
Well, and I'll be honest with y'all,
They're
without volunteer help, we can't do this.
Right.
I
have
understand.
5
You're
guys, and
like,
that's it.
I-
And between ball and all the events we do, there's no way we can keep that up and do all the other stuff too. Once
Especially-
mowing starts,
You're
we
gone.
can't get off the mowers until,
Right. Who
So-
mows in that area back over there? Who does the mowing over there? Does Parks and Rec handle that?
Lake Forest Park.
Lake Forest Park, that's a combination of maintenance and public works do that. We do all the ball fields and all of the park.
Okay.
So we're trying to kind of designate our areas. We tried to do that last year and try to detail who's going to do what area the most. But with ball fields that have to be mowed every 3rd day,
Right.
I mean, it keeps us in the park
And-
on top of doing the ball fields.
And plus, you're doing things with the senior center too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you're short-staffed.
Yeah, I only got 5 guys, that's it. And one of them's a lead, and then it's me and Felicia. So it's still small. I need more people. And I say that all
You
the
didn't
meetings.
ask for enough last time.
Huh?
And you should have asked for 7, and you might have gotten 2
I
or
might
3.
ask for 7 this next time. I might have to.
Very well might.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Bob, have you got anything for us?
Well, we kind of covered everything, but I would like to bring something up on Fergus Road. There, Walmart is there. I see a lot of people coming from Walmart, and there's no sidewalks from, I guess, Hermitage Plows right in there.
Heritage.
Heritage, yeah, going up around the circle and going up there where Dollar General and all the people live back there in the mobile home park. Somebody's gonna get killed one of these days because the road has a sharp off and people are trying to walk and somebody's gonna get hurt. I know years ago, the Parks and Recreation, Robin Gobb, she got the Murfreesboro, Stone River Road, and all that done from a grant through the Parks and Recreation. And I just
Really?
wondered,
That was before my time. I'm not sure
Yeah.
about that, but
Robin Grubb, she done that.
What year was that, do you think? Was it back in 2008?
Oh,
I don't know when that was. That was, like I said, before my time. I'm not sure. So,
Bob would remember, don't you remember, Bob?
Don't
Well, I remember we had, because I went to the ribbon cutting. Do you remember that? We had a ribbon cutting over
that was
there
for
when
the
they,
bridge, I think, wasn't
the
it?
bridge, okay.
No,
Yeah.
That's
that was
what I
for the whole
thinking.
sidewalk, I think, up there.
Was it?
We did the whole sidewalk from that Heritage Valley, at that point, up to Murfreesboro Road. And that was a grant, that was grant funding, I
So
think that was
how
the
far does
state.
that sidewalk go?
It
Because
goes,
there's like a real pretty bridge there, and
it
then,
goes from that Heritage Valley Park, which is privately owned by that association,
Homeowners
up to Murfreesboro Road. But it would, I mean, millions of dollars to build sidewalks, and you would have to do a lot of legwork to find funding for it. They would have to, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, Steve, would have to set up a long-term plan to fund that kind of project, but I think that you're
I could
right.
tell you a lot of stuff, but I won't do it in this meeting.
you'd have to buy the people's land too, to use the sidewalk.
No, you don't, you could pay them for the easement, fair market value,
Well,
but
that's
you
what I
won't have to
mean.
buy
You'd
the land, yeah.
Pay them money.
Right. They might voluntarily give the easement too, because if that benefits them and their community and adds to their home values, they
But if
may
they know what
voluntarily
people
give it. But yeah, that's a long process.
Yeah.
And they're also building, I guess, I don't know what they're gonna build just on the other side of the Dollar General store. They're breaking ground over there and another place beyond that.
Not sure
But I
what
heard
the,
there'd be.
And there's a big
townhouses and
subdivision
stuff
going
like
on
that.
over there.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, somebody's gonna get run over eventually if they haven't already. I know a lot of pets.
And I think that goes back to planning commission and what their subdivision regulations are. If you put the regulation, anytime you put the new subdivision in, have to build sidewalks. It
But a lot of them are
unfortunately, it's
opting
gonna be
out.
yeah, exactly. It's
A lot
baby
of them
steps,
are
so you'll have to
opting
do a
out.
little section at a time, so.
But when they opt out, it seems like there should be
Well, they
money,
shouldn't be allowed to opt out.
but they have been. If you watch the planning commission meetings, you'll see them.
Again, that's a
opting
question for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, whether they can allow them to opt out.
That's a whole different meeting.
It is. It
All right,
absolutely
Miss
is.
Kathy, you got anything?
I do. First of all, again, Miss Skinner, I'm sorry about your husband. My deepest sympathy to you for that. We talked a little bit about Lake Forest Park, and I've also seen on some of the social networking sites talk about the use of that police substation. I don't know if it's still used or not, but I have long maintained, even when I was an employee of the city, that we should look at turning that over to Parks and Rec for maybe summer programs, barring that because of your staff, although library doesn't have a staff. I'd like to see a little library put in there that might have a couple of days a week summer hours for the kids in that neighborhood. I hope that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen can have a serious discussion with Chief Walker to see if they really do need that space and are they using it? Because it's sat there forever for nothing, and I think it's something that could be a real asset for that neighborhood if used correctly.
But then we'd have to get the money from the board to staff it.
That's why I said, I don't know if they have the staff or the library, but you
I know
gotta,
they don't have enough.
you have to start somewhere though, and I think they need to start talking about it.
I think they man that occasionally, but I don't think it's a full-time post, I know that.
Exactly.
Isn't it used for their storage?
Well, when you have a police officer stationed in there, that means they're not on the streets patrolling. That's where you need them.
Yeah.
So I say, start talking to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, find funding and do something with it that will be helpful to the community.
Be a good item for the, discussion item for the workshop agenda, maybe next month or so. Talk to Chief Walker and see what he's got planned for it, if anything.
Thank you. That's all I had, Steve. Chairman,
All right.
Alderman.
Ms. Skinner again, our condolences. Ladies, sounds like you guys are working very hard, and I know AC is, but I'm not going to give him any credit.
Yeah.
When you're
What's this weird noise he's talking about?
when you're top dog, you don't get any credit.
Nope.
It was a great discussion tonight. Next month, let's try to have a full forum after Tuesday night. Please, again, when we vote on the baseball, softball, let's get it fired up. Let's get these kids back in Laverne. Let's get them out of Smyrna and Antosh and all these places. Let's get them back here. Let's get it like it used to be. With that being said, I adjourn this meeting.